Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Welcome to Stars Reach and Playable Worlds. My name is Carneros, and I have a couple friends with me here today. Yeah, I have Light, designer extraordinaire, and game director Dave. Everyone, Dave Georgeson, also known as Quicks. And then behind the scenes, whom you cannot see, we have our moderator, Lyric Dax, who will be helping us in a minute once we reboot the servers. Shh, don't say anything. Got a new patch to talk about. And behind the scenes, we also have Thomas, our community manager, who is the engineer on the stream and keeping this all running. And thank you, Thomas and Lyric. And actually, thank you for getting up, Dave and Light. I appreciate it. We're
Happy to
all
be.
West Coasters, so this is a little bit early for us. Yeah.
Been up for hours.
That sounds right.
All right. Thank you very much. So we got two main things to talk about today. We have a new build of the game with a lot in the patch notes. It's complicated. We're actually not going to be able to go through the whole set of patch notes before the three of us have to all go be in a stand-up meeting so we can actually get this game finished. But we will talk about as much of it as we can. And we have one more thing going on that we have to talk about, which is the Kickstarter campaign. It comes to an end in about, I don't know, 51 hours, something like that. So we're down to basically the last 2 days, and there'll be stuff going on for that. It's going to be a fast-paced roller coaster for that last 48 hours. They've warned us in advance. So a little bit more on that in a bit. But let's jump in and look at the patch notes. I'm pulling them up on my screen. You can find them if you go to starsreach.com and then go to the drop down where it says the news menu with a little arrow and choose project status. That's where we put our test notes each time. One single place where you can go look at the past ones, etc. We're looking at the ones called Procedural Creatures Update. And it's a long one. There's a lot there. The main chunk of work probably went into the creatures that you may or may not fight or attempt to tame or run away from as fast as you can. And it's a complicated situation. What all did you guys do to the creatures? Because there seems like there are a lot more of them and they're acting differently. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely right there. We have added. I think Dave said we went from like 20 to well over 120.
Yeah, that's solid.
The biggest change was actually on our back end side. So that is something that's not directly player facing, but players are already seeing the results because of how many more things we've made. We've made it just a lot more streamlined in how we define creature attack patterns and how creatures can just do different kinds of attacks, different ranges of attacks, different styles, all of that. We used to have a very powerful, very robust system that was also just took forever to use because you had to define the projectile, then define the thing that shot the projectile, then define the thing that fired the thing that shot the projectile, then hook it to the creature. And it was really cool once you got it hooked up. Every time you're like, oh, I want to add a new attack, you had to basically define it in 4 places. And it took forever.
It was not cool.
Not cool. But we weren't bitter, right?
No.
Right,
I mean, the idea when we built the system was we always wanted there to be more tooling around it, and we just hadn't quite gotten to the more tooling side. So we just had this 4+ step process that was really slow. Anytime we wanted to add a new attack to the attacks could be really cool. We had some neat attacks in the game already, but trying to iterate and balance and add a lot more to it was it took a hot minute, as Dave can very much attest to.
Yeah, it would take like I don't know, days to do a couple of creatures, and now we're doing like 100 in a few days. So the difference is dramatic. And the reason why we're doing it is not just so we can make creatures faster. It's actually so that we can eventually turn this whole system over to the procedural generation system, and it can be done algorithmically. So what we're doing right now by hand, like originally what we were doing was handcrafting each of the individual gas hogs and ball hogs and prowlers and things like that that you've been fighting for up until now. And then Light went through and created the underpinnings and the systems that we needed in order to be able to have the procedural generation system take over our work. But we can't just do that. We have to first test that. And so that meant that we had to go through and make a whole score or scores of creatures to be able to test the stuff that Light had done. And that's what you're playing through right now. And then what we'll do is we'll get feedback on the creatures and how you like, what you like, and what you don't like, things like that. We'll make tweaks and adjustments to how the balance is actually going to be. And then we'll turn it over to the procedural generation system, and we'll see what kind of madness gets done after that. And then down the line after that, we'll do visual procedural generation, but we're not dealing with that right now.
Yeah, that's a good thing to call out. We're saying there's so many more creatures. There's not many more models in the game right now, but the behaviors, they're scaling differently. We're getting it's mostly on the behavior side right now. But yeah, originally, like when we had the older system, the idea is we were going to make a bunch of attacks, and then once we found ones we liked and were good, just enable them for proc gen, and the proc gen would choose randomly from it. And this next system is way more dynamic. For folks who want a little peek beneath the hood, basically what it's doing is there is a base attack that's sort of just defined and given to everything. And then we've built sort of a tag system on top of it where we can say, oh, if I slap this tag onto an attack or onto just a creature, it knows, oh, for this attack, turn whatever the space attack is, do the same thing, but with a multi-shot 5 spread or multi-shot 3 spread, or do it as an arcing attack instead of straightforward, or make its projectiles spawn a creature, or add a stun effect, or like just as we have a long list of tags. And a lot of what we're doing right now, where we're throwing things into the game, is we're making sure we find all of those tags that are fun. Instead of like handcrafting every single attack, because with a procedural generated game, that's a lot. But if we can make sure every single tag is fun, because there are some combinations that are just not fun to fight against. Like there are some status effects that just need to be tuned, because if you're stunned for like 10 seconds, no one's having a good time. No one thinks, wow, that was a really great attack to get hit by. I mean, I think generally you don't like getting hit by attacks, but there's a difference between not fun and, oh, this dangerous but challenging and exciting. So as long as we're trying to get all of these tags out in front of the players in different forms and combinations, so we can say like, okay, yeah, this is a tag we want the procedural generation system to be able to use. This is something we want to be able to add on to attacks as we're generating them. And there's definitely more to come as well.
Yeah, there's also a bunch of nuanced stuff, like a tendency people have when they start designing procedural generation is to say like, okay, at a certain danger rating, the attacks should be slow, and then they should be moderate, and then they should be fast, and then they should be like lightning fast. And that sounds good on paper, but when you start implementing it, you start realizing things like, well, it's an indirect multi-shot, and that means that the stuff is going to arc and take a certain amount of time to be able to fall to the ground, so that that stair step of progression that you initially thought isn't really going to work out. It doesn't look good. It's not a good end result in the game. And so what you have to do is then, okay, well, now we have to have a rule that basically says if it's an indirect shot and it's at range, then it's going to be a certain, we basically have to create rules along the way that adjust how we use those different widgets. And that's a learning process, which we're going through right now.
All right. We'll get there. And then your feedback and the tests were help a lot. I don't know if you have stopped to look at the schedule for tests this week. We have one starting at the top of the next hour, right as this show finishes. It's in this new patch with this new stuff we're going through. Will be in the test today. There's another one at 5 p.m. Pacific, which is 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. And then we have 2 tests tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, which is timed more for Europe. So hopefully our European friends will enjoy that one. And again on Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. Yeah, lots going on here. Yeah, it's fun. So let's jump back into the notes here. So we talked about the makers. We didn't discuss the makers yet.
Not yet.
Okay, explain makers, because there's a trick to them and you have to, know what you're doing. You have to know to look for them.
Yeah. So makers are what we've been calling the devices that the servitors have set up that are creating all of these creatures. Because the servitors are out in the galaxy trying to preserve life and give life a fighting chance. And you may have noticed that creatures on Earth, as we know them, tend to not shoot fireballs. But creatures in Stars Reach typically do. This is because the servitors have been sort of fast tracking a lot of evolutionary knobs to try to give life a fighting chance. But sometimes when you are settling on a planet trying to make it your home, you don't want a herd of fire-breathing deer and ball hogs and all sorts of nasty things in your backyard. So if you want to hunt down a maker and destroy it so it stops spitting out these creatures, you can now. That is something we have enabled. There's a way to scan.
How do you do that?
There is a ranger tool, which is also used for like clearing brush and starting massive wildfires, as players are quite fond of doing. That now has a scanning mode that you can unlock. And as you get close to a maker and you hit the scan, it will ping its mechanical symbol, and it'll uncloak from its invisibility. And when it uncloaks, there's different tiers of makers. Right now, we've only got 2 in, but there's a lot of range that we're going to be playing with as time goes on. At the bottom tier, it's like it unfolds, and then you can shoot it, and it blows up. Like, that is bare basic. As you get more advanced, it unfolds, and it spawns a shield. And in order to get through the shield, you have to find little anchors and hack them, and then you have to shoot it. And all the whole time, it's shooting you. It's spawning defensive waves. These are... Once we hit the high end, then we get the full balance passed on. These are meant to be sort of community combat encounters, if you will.
You have to hack the nodes while eating fireballs. Is that what I just heard?
It's spicy.
Well, basically, the way it's not documented right now because honestly, we're not done. So we're partway through the integration. But the way it's implemented right now, if you come up to a maker that has a force shield, then that means it also has anchors. And anchors are the little floating balls that are off to the sides of the makers. Okay.
I've seen them.
What you need to do is shoot the because they're invisible to start with. You can't see them. But if you shoot the maker's shield, then the anchors will appear. And then you go over to an anchor and you stand near it and hit G to interact, and you will hack the anchor. Okay. At that point, you'll see like the beam that's kind of green that goes to the maker. It'll create a little small purple dot that travels along that beam. So you have not finished hacking that anchor until that purple part reaches the maker. And at that point, that anchor becomes hacked. Right now, I think we only have 1 anchor per maker. Is that correct, Light?
I think it picks randomly between 1 and 3.
1 and 3. Okay. So you have to hack all
of these. Are going to be huge, right? Some of these are going to be large.
Don't hit ahead. Let me finish this part. Okay. So when you have hacked all the anchors, then the maker's shield will fall. And at that point, you can destroy the maker. Okay. So once you destroy the maker, then it doesn't make any more creatures. Okay. But one of the other things that is in the patch notes is makers make makers. So if you don't
Um,
destroy the maker, then it will start to spread more of itself around the world. And also over time, the makers get mature. They grow in strength. And when they grow in strength, so do the creatures that they create. So if you leave them alone, then they can propagate and become big and very numerous. And at that point, you've got possibly an issue on your hands. But if you fight them too much and start to actually drive them out of existence, the servers might get a little touchy. So
uh,
there's a balance there. So humans, tend your garden.
okay. Not that I'm greedy, but do the makers have a loot table? Will they drop anything if you kill them? If you destroy the machine?
They don't right now, but yes, of course, we'll do that sort of
Okay,
thing.
good. All right, good.
And then go ahead, Light.
Oh, I was going to, yeah, this is probably going to be a challenging combat encounter. Of course, we're going to reward you for it.
Good, because the incentives would help, because these sound like a pain in the butt. But okay.
I think you don't even get XP right now, but oops. But we'll go like what Light was saying. We'll go from very very small, where you just basically just hit it a few times and it dies. That's the rabbit spawner, that kind of thing, all the way up to these huge encounters where things are much more complex even than what we've described so far. So there will be a lot of different varying stages of it.
You're going to need friends or people wearing red shirts spread out around the area so that someone's in the right spot for when the thing spawns, so that they could jump on it and hack it real quick and make the purple dot go along the line. And you don't want to. Wow, this could be crazy.
That's the other key to hacking that I should mention. If you move away from the anchor before that purple dot has gotten all the way to the maker, the hack will abort and you'll have to start all over again. So there is a risk there to hacking an anchor, because if you move away, it stops. But if you stick around, you're an easy target. So yeah, you already kind of need help.
And
Old Man Observer. Yeah.
Addressing some of the comments in Twitch chat, including Old Man Observers. Yes, like right now, there are definitely a couple like quirks and bugs that we're still working on. Like sometimes the anchors have a proclivity to spawn weirdly high in the air, which is not currently intended. It's oops bug. And also, some people have discovered that there are some circumstances where you can shoot through the shield, so people are managing to take down anchors early. We're working on it. It's a first draft getting into your hands. But to an Old Man Observer's question, it's like, what are the hints that you're supposed to be able to do it? Right now, while the shield is up, if you shoot the shield, there are little like green VFX lines that shoot from the shield to each anchor, and each time you shoot the shield while the anchors are still up and hidden, those VFX lines will like sort of ping and become visible, and sort of point you towards where the anchors are at, which sort of tells you like, hey, go over there, and if you follow that line, the anchor will show up, and you'll get you put your mouse over it, and it'll show the G to interact prompt. So we might need to make it like more obvious or more explain like what does G to like hack the anchor mean. But like there's still like some messaging too, like we might put like a circle around the anchor so you can see how close you can stay before the hack is interrupted and stuff. There's some VFX messaging we can still do, but this is the point I'm emphasizing is it's still a work in progress, but it's one we wanted to get into player hands sooner than later so we could get feedback instead of like polishing and fine-tuning, getting all the extra layers and then handing it to players and then getting a bunch of feedback and like, hey, we wish you would have changed these things. If you had told us sooner, we would have said this. Generally, our philosophy at Playable Worlds is we don't like handing you buggy things. We don't like to hand you things that are buggy or broken. We like to get it relatively polished first. But the polished version we give you, we want to be pretty early versions so that we can work with the community to improve and finish it instead of just being like, here is something that you'll love. You had better love it because we worked hard. Like, we're not going to tell you what you like.
Now, all the creatures
on the maker progression stuff, the complexity of the maker encounter, keep in mind that you're getting it all at once, and that's not how it would play in game. So if you were fighting a very small spawner, it would be basically like you got close to it, you see it's there, it's non-invisible, you destroy it, and no more bunnies or deer or whatever it is spawn. And then you go a little bit farther out and you find a slightly more powerful encounter. So now, let's say that it shoots back instead of just sitting there taking it. So now you go, oh, makers can shoot back. And then you go a little farther and you find a more powerful encounter, and now all of a sudden it's got a shield. And you're like, well, how do I deal with the shield? But it's just a regular shield and you can shoot through it. And then you go to another encounter that's harder, and now it's an impenetrable shield, and the anchor appears, and you're required to figure out how to hack the maker, so on and so forth. So that will be a progressive gameplay that new players will be able to learn as they go, but we also keep creating new challenges for players as they progress through the game. You're just getting it all at once.
Mm-hmm. And I think mentioning the progression is also brings up two other things. One, like especially on the higher end, like new players without all of like the combat skills and stuff, especially there's a lot of combat things we haven't put in the game yet, are not expected to be able to solo a maker. Like these are challenging encounters. You're probably going to need groups, probably going to be experienced groups. The fact that people are struggling with them a little bit after a single playtest on a single day where they're unveiled, we're not immediately ruling that as like well, they're too hard, because it's like, well, if everyone blitzed through them the first time they saw them, that's not a challenge. So we are taking notes and paying attention. But no, the other thing I wanted to mention, because I think I don't know if it was in the patch notes, but in a lot of our earlier playtests, we were placing where all of our creatures were in the world. So players sort of knew, if I want to see the shroom guards, they should go towards the giant stone mushrooms. If there's always an owl bear or owl deer den over here, whatever. Now the makers are being placed randomly when we start up the servers, and they're being placed with the least dangerous creatures closer to the portals and the most dangerous creatures farthest away. So we're starting to test the proc gen placement as well. So the farther you explore into a world, the more dangerous it will generally get. You're not likely to find the big tough gas hogs right by where you spawn in. So that's just another little quirk that may not have been instantly obvious to players, but some of the behind the scenes that we're trying to start shipping out to you all.
With the caveat that you're not going to find them after a recent server start. But if you leave them to mature long enough, then things will get more dangerous.
Time to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, all creatures that we encounter more or less come from a maker somewhere or have a maker somewhere, or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Other than the fancy events things that comes on in the corner. And
you mean
those are different
boss spawners?
No, I didn't particularly mean bosses. I meant all creatures, but yeah. Okay, so they do have makers. Okay. And you, I don't know if everyone knows about color-coded nameplates.
Oh yeah. This another UI thing, as we're getting the evolution of makers in and creatures with bigger and stronger attacks and more hit points stuff going in. We're messaging that to players right now through a color-coded nameplate. So it's the weaker the creature is, the less threatening its nameplate looks. I think it goes like white, yellow, orange, red, purple, and I think I go purple 1 skull, purple 2 skull. Right now. And eventually we will have colorblind options because that's always something we have, but we haven't done a full accessibility pass through our entire UI. But to head off those comments at the head, yes, we will. We keep colorblind in mind with our UI. We just don't have all of those options in constantly.
Okay, and the original Last Ditch Plan had a question. If one removes all of the makers on a planet, will it stop spawning new creatures?
Yeah, that is a tricky undertaking to do because makers can spawn makers pretty quick. But you can, makers will spawn makers that create the creatures that they create. So like a ball hog maker is not going to spawn a jackalope maker. It'll spawn more ball hog makers. So if you manage to hunt down all of the ball hog makers, you will drive ball hogs extinct, even if there's still jackalope makers on. And not currently in the game, but that will have ramifications. We've talked about the planetary health bar. Driving a creature species extinct the servers will take note of that. Like, oh, you've caused an extinction event on this world. Doing a great job of taking care of the garden humans. Clearly nailing it. So there will there will be consequences for that, but we're not talking about the full scale of the planetary health yet.
There will be trouble.
Conservatives will remember this.
Yeah.
And the question from Old Man was, what size of group of, say, competent players are we targeting to take out, say, a medium-sized maker?
We don't know that yet.
We're still playing with it.
Yeah, we're definitely still playing with it. I thought for sure that question was going to be about a boss, and even then, we don't really know. We just know we want it to be like like what we were calling the Zergs online on Saturday, when there was a group of like 20 players together. That's the kind of size that should be needed for a boss, and right now is needed for some of them, but not all of them. And so we'll keep tweaking with that, but the range in the middle is very much in flux right now.
And those numbers might change between playtests and final launch, because final launch we're going to have a lot more people into the game. So a lot of the encounters that might be scaled a little smaller might be scaled even bigger once we get to the full release.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. I just want to comment. There was a comment about healing gameplay. I want to say that it's going to get a lot better. It hasn't been really tuned by itself yet. So yeah, don't worry. Don't worry.
A slight peek behind the curtain. I'm not making any promises here.
We have a big tradition of leaks on this show. Go for it.
But like a big part of this creature rework, where we're making easier to things, means that soon it will also apply to players too, which will mean it'll adding more combat skills, adding more combat abilities, adding more player weapons and stuff will also be quicker. So part of the creatures were part of a testing bed for this. The combat skill trees we've given you so far has been really rudimentary. I think we've got 3 weapons with 2 unlockable skills each, plus like 2 shields and a healing tool that is an absolute pain to use. That is obviously not what we're shipping with. We're going to have something much more expansive. We're going to have a skill tree per weapon type is the current plan, including a whole dedicated healing skill tree. And I'm not gonna say soon because I am not authorized to give a timeline. But some of this creature work was preparation for working on some of that, is what I think I can say without production yelling at me.
Ooh, a cone-shaped healing ray. That would be cool. Yeah. My problem with the healing ray is the people I go to combat with, they'll stand in the fire, but they will not stand in a healing ray. Anyway.
It's because standing still is death, but we'll fix it.
That's true in every game. That is, I play a healer in a lot of games, and that's players will never stand out of danger.
Yes. Okay. All right. Shields are going to continue to get more nuanced and powerful and interesting. Also, Larrick, thank you for logging into the game. I see you running around the giant mushroom now. Yeah, excellent. Okay, terraforming. There was a major change, and you said, read me, really, on this one.
I just didn't want it to catch people by surprise. That's all.
Okay, yeah. So if you've been in the playtests at all, you've 99% chance you have picked up the terraformer and you have dug a hole in the ground or a cave into the side of a hill. You've done something like that. It's fun. It reminds me of Landmark, but I'm probably not supposed to say that. It is fun to just go dig stuff up. It gets a little bit better each time I go out and do it. Up until now, the texture of mining rock hasn't varied very much. Granite, dirt felt pretty much the same when you were mining it. Basalt, whatever, uranium on an asteroid, it all felt fairly similar. It doesn't anymore. You feel the hardness of the rock. and it translates into slower mining time to get through the really hard stuff and faster for the softer stuff. Am I describing it well, guys?
Yes.
Because I'm
Yeah.
obviously not on the design side.
Absolutely.
No, you're right.
Okay.
In fact, the hardness is modeled off the Mohs scale that we use in real life. So diamond and quartzite and stuff like that are really, really difficult to mine through, and dirt and pumice and lead and things like that are pretty soft and easy to get through. That being said, we are still intending to adjust rates to match what we want as far as playability. And there's a ton of crafting stuff that's not in the game yet that will allow you to do things like adjust your terraformer to be a better gem digger, or be able to get a higher yield in different ways. There's just a lot of knobs that aren't present yet that you'll be able to tune in order to be able to create the experience that you want.
Okay. One thing I want to emphasize here is we have been telling players for months that the digging tool you've had, your good old terraformer, at its current values, is probably a pretty top tier, peak crafted, peak gameplay sort of thing, and that one day you'll be given weaker digging. Your extraction will be a lot slower. That day is starting to come, and I suspect that's going to be an unpopular with a couple people, but we warned you.
It was super depressing that at the time that we decided to make this change, we also introduced a problem on the CA Sim server where mining wasn't reactive at all. So it made the hardness change look like, are you guys insane? I can't dig anything now. And it wasn't because of the hardness change. It was because we had these problems in the server, a lot of which turned out to be related to seasons, not the hardness at all. So we're going to turn off seasons right now for a couple of days until we figure out what's wrong with that, so that we're not getting these huge spikes and stuff in the servers, which is what was slowing everything down. And there is one other mystery bug in there that's doing something to CA Sim that we need to nail down. So if you could please do us the kindness of not judging the hardness changes quite yet, that would be appreciated. But even still, once everything's working, we're not done with the hardness stuff. There's also a whole batch of adhesion changes that are coming that will dovetail into that hardness stuff. And well, I know it's not part of this update, but let me just riff on it for a second here anyway. Adhesion is basically, if you have two blocks, the adhesion value is what holds them together. So like if you've got something that's brittle versus something that's really strong, brittle stuff, as you stack elements of it together, eventually they'll break off and fall. And if it's really high adhesion, then you can make a long stretch of them before it breaks off and falls. So that'll change. That will really go well together with the hardness stuff, because like for instance, as you dig through dirt and everything like that, it has very low adhesion. So you can get through it real fast, but then it falls. Whereas metals and stuff like that are hard to dig through, but you can dig under them for a long period of time without them falling. And so that'll lead to miners developing the skill of determining what they're digging through, how to buttress it, how to make it work, essentially becoming real miners, not just digging a hole all the time. I think that'll be a lot more interesting, because last thing I'll say on this subject, but the goal of the game is not to just create a bunch of skill trees that you race up. The goal of the game is to build skills that you can master, not from I unlocked all the nodes perspectives, but master it from I understand how this skill works. I have mastered the nuances of that skill. That includes whether you're talking about combat, whether you're talking about mining, whether you're talking about entertainment, whether you're talking about crafting, any of those things. All of those things have nuance, and the people that master them will be better at them. And that means that other players will want to find those people. They'll be valuable, and they'll be the ones that are pulling in the money from the missions.
Okay, we have to keep going here a little bit.
I know. But that needed to be said.
All right. Okay. Now, and there's a question in chat about the opposite of digging holes, which is smoothing holes over after other people have dug up holes. I guess there's a hoe tool in Enshrouded, and he wants to know if we have hoes in our game.
Not currently. We do have plans to add like a terrain smoothing tools, terrain flattening tools,
Good.
especially like
Good.
for farming and such. We do not have those in yet. Those are planned.
All right. Thank you. That's better already.
And the much
Okay.
ballyhooed planetologist skill trees.
Yes.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Okay. And then I see a note in here about battery changes, and that tools now are paying more attention to their battery and battery recharge time, etc. So I wanted to say it out loud for the testers in the stream so that they're not shocked when they notice their equipment, is paying attention to its charge. Okay, good. That's all.
They changed a couple of the battery consumptions, and they aren't that noticeable, but they have some effect. Like the grapple runs out of juice after you fire it. I think it's 6 times. So you need to space your Spider-Man, pulls so that you don't run out. A lot of times people were going and spamming it across an area. Well, if you do that now, you'll run out of juice pretty quick. And the other one that makes a big difference is that when you activate a shield, it drains the entire shield battery, but then it starts recharging. So both of those situations you can overcome by using a battery consumable, and that'll ping it right back up again, and you can start using it again, or you can just wait for the time.
We're going to let people eat batteries in this game? That seems
Delicious.
like a bad idea.
Well, it was either that or Tide Pods.
All right, excellent. We got about 15 minutes left, and I want to spend a little, again, just remind you where to go to look for the test notes. Go to starsreach.com, navigation bar at the top. Next to news, there's a drop-down menu, and you want project status, and that will always take you to the test notes, and the most recent will be on top, so you can find them easily. Now, next to that news thing, you'll see another word, store, with a little drop-down thing. If you click on that store, by the way, on our website, you'll see a merch store as part of it. That includes this hoodie. So if you go look at the merch store and you see a blue hoodie there right now, it's this one. Ta-da! Ta-da. It actually makes me feel partially all powerful while I wear it. So just keep that in mind and don't let it go to your head.
Partially.
Got a few pieces there. And this is, if those of you who've been a tester for a while and know about the tester store, this is not that. More on that on Thursday. We're going to interview Thomas on Thursday during our weekly dev interview series, and you'll get a kick out of that. More on that later. But let's jump over to the Kickstarter for a moment. So we're at the moment, we're at 632,638 pledged. So that's a little over 300%. Pretty good. Thank you. This is the appropriate response to that is thank you for the support. It's appreciated. It warms our hearts. It's
been absolutely awesome.
Thank you. And we're actually we're only $17,500 from our next stretch goal. And that one would be the building system upgrade. Ooh. And do we remember what the next one is after the building system upgrade?
I do.
Is it the one I think it is?
I don't know.
Okay. I think I do know what it is, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. But I will just keep my mouth shut.
Starts with stove.
Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. All right. So we're coming up on 48 hours, which is a magic period of time in the way Kickstarters work. We are being warned about that. It will speed up a little bit here, and we'll probably get another stretch goal or two. We shall see. Since 48 hours actually hits at noon Pacific, and we're a couple hours ahead of that, I would go take a look at the Kickstarter page at noon Pacific today and look to see if any new stuff has popped up. I don't have official word on what exactly is popping up, but I'm told to expect a couple things here. Also, we are doing a couple of new add-ons. There's when you make a pledge in Kickstarter, you get taken to an add-ons page, and there are several things that you can add on. Give your name to the servitors to add to their database of names, to etc. There are a few being added today that are special for the finale of the Kickstarter. So keep an eye out for that. You might want to go back in, check your pledge, and see what the add-ons are after it, because there are a couple being added for that. I don't want to say what they are yet. Also, I don't know what the last one is, so I don't really want to talk about it because I don't understand it. But I don't want to make you guys explain it on the air either. Although Dave and I are going to be back on Wednesday for the finale of the Kickstarter. It's supposed to end at 12 noon Pacific time. We're going to get on here from 10:30 to 11:30 and talk to you guys about what's going on. And then we're going to leave you a little time. We're going to get off the air, leave you a little time if you want to mess with your Kickstarter before it all locks at noon, and we're done. And then I can send out a press release and stuff.
To conclude the PBS pledge drive.
Yes. It's
I see Old Man Observer just asked, there are more add-ons, so you purchased, you got everything on day one, you won't miss out on stuff. You can still add add-ons right now. This is not a punishment for people who pledged early, especially if you got those early birds like that. These are things you can always add up until the end of the campaign.
If you know about it, it is true. It is true.
Yeah.
If you know about it.
The process of adding an add-on isn't super intuitive. You have to hit manage your pledge and then select your package again that you pledged originally, and then you can add on the add-ons. You'll see the whole add-on list. So it's just manage your pledge, click the same thing again, and then you'll go to the add-ons list and you can see all the add-ons.
We should probably mention that in the announcement we post.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, there will be a bunch of people, and just to mention, Old Man is worried about people who don't hear about this stuff. There will be people who show up and hear about our game for the first time after the Kickstarter has closed. There will be some late pledges available after the campaign ends. They will not be as nice as the Kickstarter campaign offers, but there'll still be something for people, and it'll still be good. It just won't be as good. So that they'll at least have something they can get.
This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, this is the way that we're supposed to do these things. So
this is the way.
We're following the rules. This is the way. Okay, we got 10 minutes left. Lyric is working his butt off in the game there, running through the desert as if water were no object.
Horse with no name.
Dying to creatures left and right. Using fire-based attacks in a desert. Okay. Just giving him a hard time. Thank you, Lyric. By the way, if you've never seen Lyric on camera, you'll get a chance to on Thursday because he's going to help me interview Thomas. That'll be a fun one. Yeah, 3 live streams this week. Monday for the Fireside because we have this new build. Wednesday for the Kickstarter finale. And then Thursday for our regular dev interview. So Twitch TV is hopping this week here in Stars Reach Land. And one of these days, Thomas or I are going to just, get on the Twitch and live stream ourselves running around in game doing nothing just for fun one of these days. So that's a possibility. Did you just piss off everyone? Oh, and die? Yeah. Look at all that lava spreading to your corpse. That's not good. That's not good.
Makers are using old attacks. I need to fix that.
Okay. Good.
I just said on the
made a
video.
mess.
Huh?
Right. Well, it was making a mess too. Larry,
Yeah.
thanks for helping point out a bug.
It's not really a bug. We actually left it so that it could work. It's just, I need to fix it anyway.
We've talked about what attacks work and what attacks don't, and that's part of these playtests so we can filter out, which things we want Procton to be able to use. And something that absolutely destroys the entire terrain if you get close to it, maybe not what we want Procton to use.
I already fixed the giant reindeer that Blackheart was spawning. That was hilarious. And fixed the hare now drops a whole bunch of velociraptors, so that's working better now. So stuff that we noticed on Saturday is already being fixed.
Okay. All right. At least some of them are fast to fix.
Yeah, a lot of it is fast to fix. Data's easy. Code hard. Data easy. Code hard.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Is there any questions?
Right. Well, any more questions?
I know I might have missed a couple because I know the chat has.
There was a question if Larrick was a servitor, but I guess we'll find out on Thursday.
Can neither confirm nor deny.
And then they aren't supposed to be giant. That was fun. Yeah.
I don't mind the giant reindeer. The giant reindeer are cool. It's just that they were giving the little pew pew attacks of a little reindeer, and that's not right.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's been rumors of kaiju since I came to this company 3 years ago.
You know how bad I want that. Not gonna happen anytime soon. Let's put it that way.
Accidental kaiju, they count. Okay, so what are the chances you guys can share a nice unauthorized leak here for my birthday? Oh, what can we leak for him?
I don't leak very well.
No,
I'm not a fan of leaks. But let's see, what can we think of?
we have new plant species. Planet is different from plant.
We do. It's not a leak.
Are we making any changes to what's going on with asteroids?
Yeah, okay, we can talk about that a little bit. Right now, the asteroids have a very simple gravity model. And in fact, one could say just not really what we wanted. And we intend to fix that in the future in such a way that we can create more interesting shapes that also have gravitic fields that make sense. And then we have anti-gravium in the game right now, but we're not using it for anything. And the internal discussion, and don't hold me to this because it might not happen, but the internal discussion about anti-gravium is one of the things we'd like to be able to do is build building pieces that use anti-gravium. And that way you could build a building piece that would actually repulse gravity. So when you stood on it, you floated or something like that. And then the obvious thing to do after that is to also put gravium in the game so that you had gravium that would attract things to it. So then you could do really interesting building things with anti-gravium pieces and gravium pieces. Like I immediately wanted to go build an Escher building, right? Like if we had that in there, that's where my mind was. The things you could do in space and everything like that would be really cool. Now, is that guaranteed? No, not for launch, but it's an MMO, so eventually, probably. So, I mean, that's not really a leak because it's more just an idea. But we definitely want to have anti-gravium in the game, and if we have anti-gravium, we'll probably have gravium.
I thought anti-gravium was how grav sleds were going to work. That they're going to be easier to pull with all that weight on them because they're using anti-gravium and they're actually lighter than they look.
Well, it's more than that. It's like right now when you build, you can build in the air and it just stays there. Well, that won't be true going forward. Stuff will fall. But if you build it with anti-gravium, it won't fall. So then there are certain resources that you're going to want for specific reasons, and anti-gravium is one of those super useful things that we'll build into more and more stuff as we go. And it also will be difficult to find anywhere except space, I think.
For obvious reasons. Lyric is building on a little plot here, and he's getting expert advice from Beanstalk Head. Yay, Beanstalk Head. Love it. Okay, and I do love Knox's idea of elevators.
I am going to need to bail here in a little bit because I need to go run a team.
All right. We're gonna have to wind down here. Thank you very much, guys. We've got a morning stand-up in 3 minutes. It's important. Folks just came back from GDC. We're going to get a briefing on how that went. We're all excited to hear it. Going to go through our stuff this morning. Thank you for joining us on a Monday morning. We appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wait a couple hours, then go manage your Kickstarter pledge and take a look at add-ons and see if anything surprises you there.
Cool.
And have a great day. We're going to be around Discord. Ask us questions in general and stuff like that. Stay out of trouble.
Thank you all.
Cheers.